Hey everyone, welcome back to my share spot. If you're a beginner in C Sharp or just wanted to strengthen your basics, you are in the right place. Today, we're talking about reading from and writing it to the console in C Sharp. Console input and output is often called console IO. These are the fundamental skills for every developer. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to use console IO to create interactive applications. Let's get started. First things first, why should we even bother learning console IO? Console application might seem simple, but they're incredibly powerful. Console IO can help you to create interactive programs where you can take input from user, display result, and even help with debugging. So, if you're just starting with C Sharp, it's a great skill to pick up, and if you're a seasoned developer, it's still handy for quick testing and prototyping. Let's start with console output. In C Sharp, we use Console.WriteLine and Console.Write to print messages to the screen. The difference between them is simple. This Console.WriteLine moves to a new line after printing, while this Console.Write stays on the same line. Let's take an example. Here I am using this Console.WriteLine, and here I am printing it as Hello World. In the next line, I am using this Console.Write. Good. And the next line, I am using this Console.Write morning. Okay. Let me run this code. See, here you can see in the output. Hello world is printed and also this good morning is printed in the same line. Why? Because we are using this console.write here. Okay, let me show you the difference now. Instead of this console.write, I'll use console.writeLine. Let me run this code now. Yes. See, here you can see the difference because I'm using this console.writeLine here. So the morning went to the next line. Using this console.writeLine makes your output readable and engaging. I hope you got the difference between this console.writeLine and console.write. Now, let's talk about getting input from users. This is where things get interactive. We use console.readline and console.read to get text input from the user. Let me show you an example. Console.writeLine. Let me as a user enter your name. Instead of console.writeline, I can just use console.write. Okay. So to store this name, I need one variable, string, and naming it as name is equal to console.readline. This console.readline reads everything the user types until they press enter. In the next line, let me print it as console.writeline. Hello, whatever the name user gives. Okay, let me run this code. Here in this console, it is asking for a name. Let me give it as Bharat. Yes, now you can see. Hello, Bharat. Now you understood how to take input from user, right? But what if you need a specific input type like number? Okay, I'll show you in another example. In that I'll take integer as input from user. Let me delete this. Console.writeLine. Let me type it as enter your age. Instead of write line, I can take just write. So I need one variable to store this age. Let me take it as int. Age is equal to int pass console.readline. Whatever the input I'm taking it from user, I'm just passing it to integer. In the next line, I'm printing it as console.writeline. Let me type Next year will be age plus 1 years old. Let me run this code. Now it is asking the user to enter age. Let me give it as 23. Yes, in the next line it is printing it as next year it will be 24 years old. This little trick of converting input helps you to interact with users in a meaningful way. Now, let's cover a common issues. What if a user enters something that's not a number? To avoid crashes, we can use this TryParse to safely check and convert the input. Okay, let me explain this TryPass with an example. Here I am using this Console.WriteLine to print this text in the console. Enter your age. Then I am using this if condition. Inside this if condition, I am just taking the input from the user using this Console.readline. Here I am taking the input from the user and I am try passing it. Means I am safely checking whether the input entered by the user is integer or not. Then I am assigning this value to this age variable. Okay, so I'm using this out here, like it will get the pass integer value from this method and it will directly assign it to the integer variable. If this condition satisfied, then it will come inside this. Here I'm just printing the next year it will be age plus 1 years old. Okay, let me run this code. Now it is asking me to enter age. Let me give it as 24. Yes, in the next line you can see next year you'll be 25 years old. This trypass helps us to check the value before assigning it to the variable. Okay, another function we have is console.read. This lets us to read a single character as an integer. This can be handy for quick responses like yes or no prompts. Okay, let me explain this console.read with an example. Just typing console.write. In the console, I just print it as do you want to continue? Just need to provide yes or. So we need one variable to store the value, right? So I'm declaring it as character of type. Then I need to provide one name. Answer is equal to console.read. Here I am getting an error because by default this console.read is an integer. Here I am assigning this integer value to this character type. So I am getting this error. So before assigning it, we need to parse this character. Now you can see there is no error. Save this and run this. Now it is asking, do you want to continue? We give it as yes. Now you understood, right? Like this approach can be useful for making simple games or quick yes or no options, like without requiring this full line of text. Now let's bring it all together and build a simple interactive program. Here is a simple application. This will ask the user to enter their name and it will ask the user to enter their age. Then it will pass it to integer, try pass it to integer. Then if the condition satisfy, then it will come inside this if block. Then it will calculate at what year they'll turn into 100 years and it will print this line. If the condition is not satisfied, then it will come to this if else block and it will just print invalid age entered. Let me run this code. Here it is asking me to enter name. Let me give it as Chandana. Age 25. Yes, you can see Chandana will be turned 100 years old in the year 2099. This example shows how we can combine both input and output to create a meaningful experience for users. Before we wrap up, here are some best practices for console IO. First, always use clear prompts. Make sure users know exactly what to enter. Next, handle any errors gracefully. TryParse is a great tool for this. And keep your output clean and readable. Finally, test your input thoroughly to make sure your program handles all kind of input correctly. This is a wrap on a console IO in C Sharp. We have covered the basics of writing and reading from the console, handling errors, and even building a small interactive program. This is a foundational knowledge for creating interactive console application. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated. Thanks for watching and happy coding.